This short introduction is brought to you by Helen Bowden, CEO of Dyslexia and Neurodiversity Insight, Liz Chiver, Director, Halliday's HR, and Nick Foster, CEO, I Am Celebrating Autism in Greater Manchester. This follows a longer Lunch and Learn session delivered on 27th of February 2025. This was the content covered during the full Lunch and Learn session. If you'd like to find out more or are interested in having a similar session within your own organisation, please do get in touch with us. Our contact details are at the end of this presentation. Let's talk about neurodiversity in the workplace. What do we mean by neurodiversity? Put simply, neuro means brain and diversity means difference. So basically, when we talk about neurodiversity, we're saying different brains. But essentially, all brains are different. With neurodiversity, we are simply saying that some brains are more different. Neurodivergence is a more accurate description, as this describes the idea that some brains are more different. This could be because of a neurodivergent condition, or because of a more general learning disability, or because of an acquired brain injury that changes the way that the brain operates. Just to make things yet more complicated, some brains, whilst they may be different, have a pattern of differences that are broadly consistent. This is where the neurodivergent conditions sit. So essentially, these brains are different to the general way that a brain might operate, but these differences have a pattern to them. These patterns of differences have been given an additional label. These labels are shown on this slide. Some of these may be familiar to you, whilst others not so familiar. Add yet another complication to this terminology, and we discover that neurodivergent conditions overlap and co-occur. Why is this important? It's important because it means, not least, that everyone will be different, even if they have a label, and share that label with other people. All too often, because of the diagnostic pathways of these things, an individual may have one label, but actually within their profile, they may have a pattern of strengths and challenges that is consistent with another label as well. So if we were just trying to support a label, we will very likely be unsuccessful. We must focus on the individual regardless of a label that they may or may not have attached to them. Taking all of this together, this means that a lot of people are neurodiverse, around 1 in 8 we think. Some will have been diagnosed, many self-diagnose, and this is often very valid, and some may simply be finding things challenging without knowing why. This can be problematic because it can lead to difficulties with self-esteem, anxiety, and mental health. Neurodiversity is important because whether someone discloses it or not, you are likely to be working with or encountering a lot of people who are neurodivergent. By understanding this, it helps us to support people, not judge people, and also within the work context, maximise the potential of people. For any organisation, your biggest asset is your staff. For many organisations, your biggest cost is your staff. Losing staff because they can't work well in your environment is incredibly expensive. Some estimates put it around £30,000 to recruit and train new staff, whilst in some instances this may be lower, although not by a lot. In other instances, this could be higher, for example, if specialist training is required. Take account of recruitment and selection costs and people's time, and the fact that new employees are not going to be as productive probably for at least 6 months, and then you can start to see how the cost to an organisation mounts up. It's simply good business sense to keep your staff and to maximise their potential, not to mention the risk of tribunal costs or settlements if things go wrong, and the potential of reputational risk. Getting this wrong can become very expensive very quickly. There is also the legal framework that surrounds all of this, which is the Equality Act. Neurodivergent conditions are covered by the Equality Act. There is a lot of case law to support this. It's important to note, however, that many individuals would not generally consider themselves to be disabled, but legally this is the framework it falls under, as such conditions can have a long-term impact on day-to-day living. The key aspect here is the requirement to make reasonable adjustments. This is where many employers struggle. To find out more about what reasonable adjustments are in the context of neurodiversity and how to establish what you need to do and how you need to do it, please get in touch with us to discuss further. Here are our contact details.